Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Deckin Around. My name is Tyler.
I'm Steve.
And today we are so excited to have Edo Huang on the show. We've been talking back and forth with Edo for a while to get him on the show. We're really excited to actually finally have him on. For anyone who doesn't know Edo is not only an amazing magician, but Edo is also a playing card designer, a designer in general, and one of the co-founder of Svngali playing cards. The interesting thing that I've always found about Edo within the community, and we were talking about this the other day, is that sometimes you'll just be looking at a deck of cards and you're really appreciating the deck, and all of a sudden you look at the bottom of it and it's designed by Edo Huang, and you're like, wait a second, like I had no idea that Edo had anything to do with this deck of cards. So he's one of those people who pops up in not only the expected places, but sometimes the least expected places within the community. And that's one of my favorite parts about any time, you bump into Edo's name.
Yeah, it shows up multiple places that you're unaware of,
And I think that's one of the great things about, he has so much involvement within the community, not only on the magician side, but on the playing card side, and really has designed so many great decks that obviously we're going to talk about some of them tonight, but also we're going to be talking about just Edo, how he got into magic and playing cards, and what he does in general,
I'm actually curious if anybody, obviously he's not even here yet, but I'm just curious if anybody knows any decks by Edo and which one's your favorite. And you can just list them inside there. I'm just, because some of them, who knows, maybe I won't know that he designed them. My favorite Edo deck, other than the Svngali decks, is the coffee deck, the decaf coffee deck.
Nice.
Definitely one of my faves.
Yeah. Well, so before we jump into it here, guys, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are going to take a quick word from our sponsors here, and then we are going to be talking with Edo.
Hummingbird Feathers mimics the shimmer of a hummingbird in motion. Meticulously created with a specialized printing process using multiple holographic foils. Stunning tuck design and sculpted embossing with master letterpress creation. Featuring limited, standard, and gilded 3-deck sets. Pre-order yours today at marvelousdecks.com.
Definitely make sure to check out Marvelous Decks. I'm sure you've all seen the website now. Absolutely beautiful decks, wonderfully designed by, wonderfully produced by Keller O'Neill. Absolutely beautiful cards, printed by Cardamundi, amazing foil. So definitely check those out. Guys, without further ado, here is Edo.
Edo!
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
How you doing today,
wherever
man?
anybody is, it's good, whatever. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of jealous right now, I'm not going to lie, because Edo's already in Friday, and I definitely wish I was in Friday at this point. So one step closer to the weekend. But how you doing today, man?
I'm good.
Good. We really appreciate you coming on the show. We, like I said, in the little spiel beforehand, we've really been looking forward to having you on for a while. And I know there's kind of been a back and forth, and we always get in this habit where we book people out so far ahead of time, and we're so excited to have them on. And then it's like, oh wait, but we have to wait like 2.5 months. So when it finally comes, we get all excited again. So we're so glad to have you on.
That's a little bit of my fault. I get so excited. I'm like, okay, we'll book them. And now when we try to book someone, like Tyler's always like, Steve, slow down. We're booked till like 2023. Like, slow down.
But time flies, like when we talk, like I think months ago, right? And then we are live right now. Time flies like so fast.
It really does. I mean, to think that 2020 is almost over. Like we're already in November. It's crazy.
Thank God it's almost over.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll see how 2021 goes. I'm sure the first half won't be miraculously better, but hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel there.
Dude, Brad just says, if he's in Friday already, ask him who won the election.
Brad,
if it was only that good.
I think we'll be waiting a bit as well here for sure.
Yeah,
but so, one thing I always kind of ask people, especially with the climate of the world as it is right now, how have you been doing with this whole pandemic? How has that impacted you, especially being in Indonesia, where, I think you have a much different population, composition and a much different kind of area. Obviously being an island, it's much different than, mainland countries and how you deal with this whole pandemic.
Like, I live in Jakarta. Jakarta is like in Java Island. We have Sumatra, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, like so many islands, like small islands. in Jakarta, I don't know, it's getting kind of worse. Right now we are in each day we have like 4,000 new cases. For Jakarta, for Indonesian, it's quite big. And because I stopped working at the I started working 9 to 5 since 2016. Pandemic is not really a big thing for me because I work at home all the time for the past 4 years.
Nice.
All the designers of the world are like, yeah, it's no big deal for me. I work from home.
and I also like some sort of like introvert kind of person. So being alone just with my wife at home, it's just like heaven to me. And yeah, some people found out that pandemic is like a bad thing or like a curse or like a I don't know. It's like I need my life back. But there are so many things that if I reflect myself for the past few months right now during the pandemic, it's more like how you can reflect uh, on yourself and how you can doing what you do that you never been able to do back in that day. Like back in few years ago, like you wish that you have more time doing this or that or take care of something. This year, I quite accomplished a lot in terms of like career and everything. But like I start um, resurrect my YouTube channel like from like in July, I guess. The thing that I never been able to do because too busy with work and everything. I finally can start. We resurrect the YouTube channel with my friend, my videographer, and then I also start my membership, my Magic membership. So that one also like a challenge for me. At the same time, like exploring myself, as a magician, as a performer and everything, and also Svngali.
Yeah,
Like,
that's been
designed, like,
super successful.
a bunch of decks this year. I think this year I designed like so many decks. I lose count.
Dude, we have two.
I mean, I would genuinely challenge anyone in the chat to name all of the decks that Edo has had a hand in, because I think there's some that probably would even surprise Edo because he's forgotten about them. So
yeah,
last year I count the deck that I designed. Okay, I think it's around 15 to 20. This year I lose count. I start to like gather all the decks in my house. When I counted, like, wait, there's one or two are missing. What the heck is that? I have no idea. Like seriously, no idea.
So let's, since we're talking about this, we have 10 Knock decks coming that you designed, right?
Yeah.
How many Svngali decks do we have coming? Do we know that yet, or are you allowed to share that information?
Well, I don't think Alex will have problem with that. I don't, because like for design wise, I think I designed close to like until number 9 or 10 for the Svngali. But
Nice.
but at the end of the day, we have to like me and Alex, we need to discuss about the possibilities, which deck is the most priority one, which deck, because like from my perspective, I'm more thinking about the visual kind of perspective. But from Alex, he's more into like business guy
Yeah.
kind of thing. So he's more thinking about how to launch the deck, how to produce the deck, when, and how to present the deck. So yeah, I think almost every week I send him a new design, like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Should we produce this one? Sometimes he send me like ideas, like, hey, I love this because he drink a lot, right? He drink beer, he drink wine, whiskey. We hang out in Singapore last year, like every night during lunchtime, like, either do you want beer, either do you want like whiskey, either do you want like wine? Sure, just drink, talk about cards and magic and everything. And sometimes he send me like a whiskey kind of design packaging design of the whiskey, and send me like, this one looks cool. Can we like do similar thing with the Svngali for the design? Sure, let's do it. Like,
Nice.
I do all the design thing. Sometimes they say like, okay, this is good. Just put it on hold. but we do another one, and we're gonna see like which one is the best one, and then we try to produce. But if not, well, we're not really rushing because we have like I think 2 more decks will be released this year and next year. So we also plan to reproduce my first deck, the nautical playing card, because Alex loved the deck so much. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Benjamin actually just said Manticore and Svngali would be dope.
That would be dope.
What's that?
There's a Manticore, the
the Manticore box.
Yeah,
the Manticore box.
Yeah, definitely gotta do that, Svngali. That'd be dope.
Yeah, because like among all the decks that I designed, probably Svngali and the Manticore have like the most interesting story that I can share. I mean, from like Manticore, me and Benjamin Liu from Singapore, we knew each other only from social media. You know, I start posting Magic on Instagram in 2012, and then back in that day, we start following magician, and then like start talking on Instagram, and we never met in person. And same thing with us. Like we know each other virtually, never met in person. But then I have opportunity to fly to Singapore, because like I usually fly to Singapore like 3 times a year, and then I asked my family to like, can I have my own time, because I want to meet some friends that I met in social media. He's a magician, and then I met with Ben and other magicians back then, with Carpolution, Alan from Carpolution, and then we just hang out for like, I don't know, 5-6 hours talking about magic. It's funny to see how stranger met for the first time and can talk about something for hours.
It's crazy how fast it goes by when you have like the same passion, right? That's actually who's in the chat right now. It's Benjamin Liu.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he told me, like, he casually told me like, hey Edo, back then I only designed Svngali, a nautical. That's the only design that I released. And then he told me like, I really wish that we can do something together in the future. I say sure. And then I went back to Jakarta, and then we skipped contact, and then like, hey, I really want to make a deck that has an impact, He told me White Tiger almost like have a less population over time, and then he wants to create a deck that every deck that's been sold will be donated to like this kind of organization to maintain the population of the wild animal and the tiger and everything. And then I start designing decks for him, and I think a year later we finalized with the Manticore, and yeah, until now we keep in touch. We become good friends, and it's sometimes if we look back, it's funny, from stranger and becoming like business partner, becoming good friends. The journey is like unbelievable,
It's crazy. I mean, look, that's like Tyler and I. We met online too, and here we are.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the cool things about it. Like you said, you get such a more widespread ability to meet people you probably in the past would have never met, but also it gives you a reason to visit places you probably wouldn't normally visit. Like, exactly. I mean, I made a joke the other day because Jaspas just opened his first NDO store in Singapore the other day. And I posted a comment, and I was like, looks like this is an excuse for Deckin Around to go to Singapore.
Right.
And like, I've always wanted to go to Singapore. I've never really needed an excuse, but I'm like, all right, well, now this is just one more reason to go. And of course, Jaspas being Jaspas, just like, just order online. but like, why not? Why not check out Singapore, which is an amazing city, and then get to meet all these people who you've only met virtually, and solidify those relationships that you've built, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, Singapore for me, like back in 2013-14, when I went to Singapore, the magic community, the cardistry community, are unbelievable compared to what we have here in Jakarta back in that day. Are unbelievable. We have like I don't know how many talented cardists like Virtuoso, Kevin Ho, Jaspas, and uh, who else? So many. I mean, like only like Singapore is like 1 hour away from Jakarta, and we can meet so many talented people there. And that's why I also encourage like some Indonesian like save your money, stop buying decks, travel Singapore, meet like new friends, new community. They will open your eyes of what magic is all about and what cardistry is all about. The community are insane.
Nah, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's so quick. From meeting someone, because once you meet one person, they might know someone else, and they might know someone. So that kind of family kind of grows pretty quickly.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. But the thing is, some people, especially in Indonesia, they are afraid to speak to stranger. That's the first. That's the first issue. The second one, language issue. Like not a lot of people know how to speak English, and that's kind of issue here in Indonesia also. I told them like invest yourself, start learning new language. At least try to speak English. Doesn't have to be good, but at least you know how to communicate. Because like at the end, when you learn something new, it will open a new opportunity, a new doors, and yeah, like what we saw right now, we meeting new friends and like build a new relationship, you know.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny because I was just taking a quick look here too, because I know from me, like it was funny you mentioned from Jakarta to Singapore is only an hour. I think for me it's about a 20-hour flight. So I was curious how long it is for Steve too. I'm like, oh, maybe it's shorter for Steve. For Steve, it's about a 19-hour flight. So we will definitely make it happen though, because I don't think there's any reason not to. I mean, I think one of the great things about the internet, not only in the magic community, but the cardistry community and all these communities, is it's allowed the hobby to spread in such a way and reach corners of the world that historically it probably wouldn't have reached, or it wouldn't have reached as quickly as it has. I mean, if you really think about cardistry, like cardistry is still a relatively new hobby, 9, 10, 15 years, maybe really. And that's kind of pushing it. Like in its modern rendition, really, it's probably like 10, 12 years. Right. Without the internet, like, A, who knows if it would have taken off like it has, and B, who knows if it would have reached such wide expanses of the world.
Yeah.
I think it's great, and I think we talked a little bit about your introduction to magic the other day, and a lot of what how you kind of got involved in magic. Even like your ability to learn magic probably wouldn't have been what it was without the internet.
No. Yeah. Back then, it's so difficult to learn magic compared to what we have right now. Like back when I started magic in 2001, it's so hard. Even in Jakarta, it's so hard to find internet connection and like access to buy like magic props, magic tutorial kind of thing. Right now, everything is so easy. Like you can stream your magic tutorial. You can buy everything so easy and so fast, and so many options. Back then, it's kind of hard. Even mentors, community, they're not exist when I start doing magic, And the genre of magic back then is not as many as what we have right now. And back in that day, it's more like sort of like old school kind of magic. Right now it's like more. Right now we have like a social media magic. We have like right back in that day, there's no such thing as social media magic.
Yeah.
It's just like old school kind of magic. So yeah.
Yeah, and now I think there's so many different iterations of magic. Before we even jump into that, I do want to say you have a great friend in Ben here, because Ben says, why is Edo's English so good, handsome, talented, magic and design? It's insane, which I have to agree. Like, absolutely an amazing person here. And I have to say, like, I really think that one of the one of the amazing things to me about you, Edo, is for being so visible in the community, you're also very like humble and not, I won't say reserved about it, but you're very like, you're happy not being in the spotlight necessarily. And I think that's really kind of an interesting counterpoint to a lot of people who we, you know, I think we see within the community who have any sort of major following. They want to be in the spotlight. They want to be, you know, always the one being talked about. But like, I think, you know, at some point in time, you probably had this shift from like magic to really more on the design side. Do you find that now you're as involved in the magic community overall as you were, you know, maybe 5-10 years ago, or are you more focused on a large scale and on the design side?
So like as a back in when I start doing magic on social media, back then I kind of like to challenge myself to post. If you guys know, like back when I started doing magic on Instagram, I post one video on Instagram per day. So for 1 year, we have like, I don't know, 300 something videos on my Instagram, and I'm doing that for like 3 or 4 years. I don't know. Because like I want to have like this kind of challenge for myself. How many tricks, how many videos I can produce and post it on my Instagram, and I want people to know me. I want people to I want my video to be viral and everything. But the more I grew up and the more I met new people, the more I'm thinking like I have to not stop, but start doing this kind of thing less and start producing something more human on my social media. Because like for the past 4 years, after I decided to resign from my from my company and start my freelance design job, I met new people, but not magicians, more like non-magician kind of friends. So like some of them are chef, like entrepreneur, a businessman, fashion design, everything. Non-magician, new friends, and when they following me, they never see my face or what I'm doing. What they see is my hand doing card magic. For people who like magic, that's fine. They will enjoy the card and my hands well. But for strangers who following me, they also want to know who's the person behind the hand, right? And then I think 3 years ago, shifting to post more of who I am and what things that I like to do on the regular basis. And also there are one moment where really struck me as a human being. Is like less people know me as an Indonesian. That's quite for me it's quite an issue because I grew up in Jakarta, but people who follow me didn't know that I am Indonesian. They think that I'm like a Taiwanese or a guy from China, because my name has this kind of Chinese name, and I start posting something more human. Like I post my hobbies, my lifestyle, my wife, the relationship with other people, not just me playing with magic. I still posting these things, but less compared to what I usually post back in that day. And then also I start build a community in Jakarta where I live. I just focus build a community around near my house, near my area, because I want to have this kind of healthy relationship with and healthy community that we can share magic without even force them to be, when kids growing up doing magic, they still see magic as a hobby, not as a job. I want to create this sort of community who whoever you are, you're thinking magic as a hobby, as a profession, or whatever you want, you can go inside, join us, and we can talk about magic all day long. And kids sometimes, when they start doing new hobbies, they want to have community or friends who can share their hobby with. Um, when I started doing magic in 2001, for the first 10 years, I have no friends, no mentors, no community to growing up. Luckily, I'm still here doing what I'm doing. I'm not giving up my magic hobbies. I shift my magic hobbies into profession. But kids nowadays, I saw some kids comes and go. Like they start doing magic only for like 3 or 4 months, and then they disappear from the community, or they start doing new hobbies. I want them to like have new friends and this community to be like a new home for them in magic, and they can share wherever they want. They can ask wherever they want, and hopefully magic he can do magic for I don't know, maybe for a living, or he can find himself in magic, or like me, he can shifting to other thing like designing cards, or I don't know, designing gimmicks or something. Because like there are few kids from the community are become like the best student, because like some of them are become my student, like 2 or 3 people are my student, and some of them become like very good in magic, and they won some competition overseas, and for me it's quite a satisfaction for me, because I can um, create someone from this community, a healthy community, and they can show what good magic is all about, because like if you have if you never set a standard of how good magic is supposed to be, people don't know which good and people don't know which one is bad. So me, I'm not consider myself as an icon, or as a pioneer or something. I just like a guy who knows what I'm doing, and I start sharing things to the community and let them absorb all the knowledge and express the way they want.
Yeah.
So I never force themselves. I never force them to do this or to do that. It's up to do. It's up to you. You want to do whatever you want, because I want you guys to be you. Because like we as a magician, sometimes we start copying other people. Like if you see when you see Shin Lim performing on stage, for the next few weeks, you'll see another Shin Lim on social media, right? Start doing similar kind of character with Shin Lim. The same thing with other, like back in my time, it's like David Blaine, Copperfield. There are a lot of like David Blaine and replicate of Copperfield, but it's okay to replicate that thing on the first few months, because like you have to know your character and your personal branding. But at the end, you have to have your own style, because like people love you because of who you are, not because of oh, it is good doing the Shin Lim kind of thing. It doesn't last long.
Right.
People like you because like who you are, not because you pretend to be some. Because if you pretend to be someone else, it's so tired. You have to like keep pretending, and you have to becoming someone else that you are not supposed to be. It's so
and
like,
you'll get called out for it.
Yes, exactly.
It definitely.
Tyler always tries to beat me. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Can't you tell I'm growing my hair out?
I'm trying to be him with my beard. I'm trying to grow my beard in.
But no, and I think you have a very valid point, because you know what, a lot of people get into the community because they see Shin Lim and David Blaine and David Copperfield and all these people, but making your own kind of persona or being who you're going to be within the community really is so crucial, because otherwise you get bored with it. If you don't invest yourself into what you're doing and you invest yourself into trying to be someone else, then the next shiny object or flashy person who comes along, you're going to then try and be them. Like if you actually put your heart and soul and make this about you, whether it be, I mean, and I think this is great, like advice for life in general, not just for magic, but for anything you do. If you put yourself into it and try and be genuine in how you do it, you're going to last significantly longer. Again, not to say you're going to become, a professional, whatever, you can still continue to do these things as a hobby, but ultimately I think you last significantly longer within that hobby or that space. And I thought it was interesting also, though, that you mentioned the idea that when you first started magic, a lot of people didn't really look at magic as more than a hobby. They looked at it as something that you did for fun. Mark, by the way, thank you so much for the donation.
Thank you, Mark.
I really appreciate it. You're always such a good dude, Mark. We're also going to have to go to Canada and hang out with Mark at some point. That's just a must at this point. But I think one of the cool things about that, though, is I think with people being able to see so many more magicians across the world actually make this a living, or at least maybe like a part-time thing, it's encouraged so many more people to take it seriously.
Yeah, but not a lot of people really appreciate the process.
Yeah.
Like some people really want to be, I don't know, if let's say like I design cards quite a lot, and I receive quite a lot message on my Instagram, like how can I become a playing card designer like you? How can I get some company to print my cards? And that kind of question that I receive quite a lot lately. That kind of process that somehow I really need to share to everyone who listen to this live, because like people sometimes only see the goal, or sometimes people only see the Edo having like a good time, and he worked with multiple brands. He's now having like a bunch of decks, but people never know the starting point, and people never know about the sacrifice and the suffering that we we have back in that day. Because like people never know that when I start designing cards, I'm still working 9 to 5 in one of the local companies in Jakarta, and then until like 2016, I decided to resign, and for the first 1 year, I have no income at all. From the income that I get from my day job, I have no income for 1 year. And back then, I'm dating my wife, so I'm not talking. I'm not telling my wife like I am jobless. I start to hide the fact that I have no money until I finally found a job. Then I start to confess everything to my wife. Then she told me like, why don't you tell me about all these things? Because I don't want to, I don't want to worry you, because like we are dating, and maybe in 2 years we're gonna get married. I don't want to worry you. I want to fight for it until I know what I'm doing. People doesn't really know about this thing. People only know like, all this glamour, all this decks that I design. But when I start designing the nautical, the first deck back in 2010 or 11, I kind of forgot. This one also have a very interesting story. If you guys okay by telling this story?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So if you guys remember, Alex released House of Playing Cards in 2011.
Yeah.
Right. Back then I just graduated from Beijing, went back to Jakarta, and then I saw Alex post, we just launched a new company called House of Playing Card, and he released the first knock playing card, the 5 colors knock. And then I saw on the website they said submit your design. I clicked at that site, and then it says like, design your own playing card, submit the design to us. The best design will be produced through House of Playing Card. And then back then, I am no one. Like nobody really knows Edo Huang. And then I told myself, how can someone from Indonesia submit a design to a US-based company and get noticed? That's the first. That's the first idea in my head. Because like when you submit your own design, there's not only Asian who submit the design. It's the whole world submit the design to this company, right?
Yeah.
So how can my design be on top of the list and people from House of Playing Card can notice, oh, who's Edo Huang from Indonesia? I start designing cards, one design per week for the next 10 weeks. So back in that,
that's a lot.
That's a lot. Back in that day, I also need to balance with my day job. So when I have like free time, like maybe 1 or 2 hours free time in my work, I start like designing cards, and then by the end of the week, I submit to House of Playing Cards, and then the next week, the same thing. Design the second card, submit to them. The same thing with the following until like 10 weeks, and then from after that, I'm gonna tell to myself like, okay, I'm gonna stop right here. I'm gonna wait. If this 10 decks, if I don't have any response from this 10 decks, I'm gonna send another 10 decks design to also play. But luckily, 2 or 3 weeks later, there's an email from Kevin Braylak. I think Kevin right now working in England, right? Back then he's working with Alex in How to Play Cards. He told me like, oh, Edo, from your design, we love 2 of the designs. The first one is nautical, the other one is I kind of forgot. But Alex wants to see if you can modify the nautical with multiple colors and have like a minor change of the design. And then I finally like yes, my plan is working. Like from all the design, finally there's one design that they like. After I finalized everything, back then I cannot design with Illustrator. I only design everything with my Photoshop. And when we were about to send to the printer, Kevin told me like, bad news, the printer's only accepting Illustrator file. Back then I had no idea how to use Illustrator. The only one who can understand Illustrator is my wife. Back then, we haven't spoke for like, I don't know, 3 years. I finally call her like, can we meet? Can you teach me how to use Illustrator? And then during weekend, I don't know, 3-4 hours, sit at the coffee shop. She taught me everything with the Illustrator kind of thing. And yeah, I have to redesign. I have to redo all the design.
Oh man!
For the nautical from scratch with the Illustrator. I think it took me like almost 2 months. It was like I have to like starting like piece by piece, one by one, and I have to balance with my day job. And then I submit, and then a year later, the deck is finally released. Like, oh yes.
That is crazy.
That must have been a great feeling, though, seeing your deck finally printed.
Yes, I still remember the moment when I woke up. And then the first thing comes in on top of the Instagram is the blue crown with the close up photos of the nautical. It's like it gives me like a goosebump. Like,
nice.
Oh shit!
Nice.
So, do you still have the original designs that you had submitted to Alex?
Yeah, this one is the original one, and this one, the nautical white, is the first deck that I opened in 2012 or 13. This is the only deck that I open. Sometimes I open like 2 or 3 decks, but they print this deck in Shanghai, China. Me and Ben still trying to find this company. It's hard for me to find the company where we print this one. But this deck I opened in 2013 and still.
Oh wow, that's phenomenal. That looks like a brand new fan, like fresh out of the box. That's amazing.
We still it's kind of dirty from the side, but when you fan, it's still
that looks
perfect.
great.
I mean, like it's still perfect. Everything it works fine.
That's
Crazy.
crazy.
But when we open the deck, it feels funny and it feels like a cheap deck. Some of my friends opened the deck and told me like, Edo, the quality sucks. and then I told them like, stay with me, try to use it for I don't know for a few months and see how the deck turns to be. And then they play around for a few months and then they contact me again. Edo, yeah, it's getting better and better. Like the finish and everything it's like getting smooth and it at first it feels like a plastic coating, but at the end it feels like a it's so smooth. And sometimes I use this deck on like a like a slightly wet surface. I never like for my Svngali, I always like wipe the table before I play the card. I always wash my hands. But for this one, I care less for handling this deck. Like with my dirty hands, sometimes I drop the card to the floor. Like I just pick up, stand up, and then use it again, and still works fine. I'm quite satisfied with the deck. But sadly, we cannot find where we produce the deck. But yeah, hopefully one day we figure it out. I even asked Alex about where we print this nautical is so good. We should produce more decks at this factory. It's like I don't know, man. I keep searching for years. We cannot find where this deck print. It's like a mystery factory.
That is too funny. You know what? If you gave it to Jaspas, he could probably tell you in a minute because he's basically dealt with every single deck out there.
Right? That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is too funny though. And I think that's one of the things about like playing cards too is like there is so much. I don't know. I find that a lot of new companies who try and get into the printing game are like, oh well, all cards feel the same anyway. Like the stock is the same. We're using the same stock as Cardamundi. It's gonna have the same finish. And everyone who knows is like, yeah, that's not going to be real. Like that's not real, you know? Like you may think that, but that just goes to show how little you know about printing playing cards. And then with the deck cards, and it's all right, not great. There's a learning process, but I think there are really some companies out there who fly under the radar and print great decks, and people might not even know their name, which I think is always so interesting to see.
Yeah, agree. Even like few months ago, I finally figured out and discovered there is one factory in Jakarta that print cards. Well, the quality is not even good. It's just okay. But I've been, searching for years where I can print my card here in Indonesia. I finally found it, and it's quite near my house, like 30 minutes drive from my house. I mean, like, where the hell have you been? I mean, like, I've been searching for you for years, man. So yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of funny where it's like an Easter egg, we finally found the factory.
No, that's awesome. Well, and the thing is too, I mean, if you start doing business with this factory, like, a lot of times if people come in and say, hey, listen, like this is what we're looking for. I think one of the cool things about playing cards is a lot of these factories are willing to kind of work with the designers and work with the producers to make little tweaks and try new things and try to make their cards better. I don't think there's any playing card company out there whose goal is to make bad cards. It's just that they may not have a reason or the motivation at that moment in time to make better cards until someone comes along and says, hey, let's make better cards. And they're like, let's do it. I mean, for all we know, this Indonesian company that you have found could become the next, TWPCC or something like that.
Yeah. The first thing when I found that company, that factory, it's more like because like I have one goal and one dream when I designing cards. Standard cards in US is like what, $18 custom playing cards, like 15.
12 to 15 usually.
12 to 15 plus shipping.
Yes, and when you ship to Indonesia, it becomes around 20 something, like 20 to 25 US dollars,
Crazy.
right? And then, yeah, because of the shipping and the tax and everything. And person who can afford that cards are, more like people who can, yeah, people who have money, right? People who have those $20 spare money to buy a card. But
Right.
for here in Indonesia, not a lot of people who can afford that amount of money, especially
Right.
for hobbies. Like when hobbies or like some strangers saw a $20 playing card for them, like cards, $20. What's so special about the cards,
Yeah.
right?
Dude, I
And
say the
then-
same thing.
And then when I found the factory, I told my friends and my community, like, one day I want to have my cards that not only available and not only accessible for people who can afford, but also people who can, people who can afford like less than $10 deck,
Yeah.
So the deck for everyone. Well, the quality is not great, but this deck for everyone. That's one of my that's one of my goals in the future. Because like
Right.
the deck that my playing card, not a lot of people can afford it. So I want to design, maybe I don't know, if someone wants to like start a new company that I can supervise it. Like I want to have my cards that can be accessible for everyone. So that's the thing that I have in my head. Like
It's awesome.
playing card is not something like, oh, this is a luxurious thing that only specific people that can afford it. I want to like everyone can afford it. So like that's
Right.
one of my main goals. But I don't know, maybe in the future.
No, and I think that's an admirable goal. I mean, we talked about this too on the test call, how different the stigma and the stigma around playing cards in different countries is, and how much, in the United States, a deck of cards really is looked at as an inexpensive way to occupy your family and your kids and to bond and to play games.
Yep.
And I think it's so interesting that not everywhere in the world has that feeling, because of accessibility to inexpensive usable cards. They may have, anyone could go out and print cards on paper and have playing cards, but they may not be usable or very good or last very long. But I think,
Right.
having inexpensive cards, like, again, I could literally run down the street right now and pick up a 4-pack of bicycle decks for under $10. And being able to have that around the world would be an amazing thing, especially if you can build it out in your local community first, because that makes it so much more accessible and probably also draws people into it more because they're then supporting local economy.
Yeah.
Agree. Yeah, because I still remember back when I started Magic in 2001, bicycle it cost like $15.
Wow.
What did?
2001.
Bike decks.
2001
Oh.
bicycle playing card cost for $15 back in 2001. I had to save like 6 months to afford one bicycle playing card.
Crazy.
That's crazy, man. And I'm sure you treated that thing like it was the most precious deck of cards in the world.
Yes, I still have my bicycle set that my aunt bought me when I started Magic. There's like one set of bridge size bicycle. One is normal. One is a stripper deck. I still have in my room.
That's cool.
That really is so cool. And I think, it's funny to see how, or it's amazing to see how impactful cards really can be on people, and not just necessarily people who, are magicians. Again, growing up with cards as a regular part of life in America, like, I think anyone can remember a happy memory in their childhood with a deck of cards. Yeah. And I think, obviously you have that as well, but it's probably not a standard kind of thing in Indonesia. So
yeah.
I mean, we actually talked about that, in the pre-call, just about, like Tyler said, a stigma is based around it, whether it's gambling or whatever. And even bringing it through customs is this huge kind of task that you have to go through. You might pay $20 for a deck, but you get it at the border and you have to pay $30 to get it to your house.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Indonesian have this kind of stigma where cards is a bad thing, like casino, like a gambling that thing. We when we used to have like a jamming session in Jakarta, we need to find like a specific coffee shop that allow cards, or specific restaurant or specific mall that allow cards to when we, because like we play cards quite a lot. Sometimes we like bring a card, we drop a card. Sometimes like security approach us like like not playing with cards in this area. Yeah, until like I start finding like a friend who have who own a coffee shop, and ask them to like, hey, if let's say I hang out in your coffee shop, is that okay? Yeah, sure. Can we use cards in your coffee shop? Yeah, just use cards in our coffee shop. You even can like show magic to the customer if you want to. Say, yes, okay, sure. Nice. So I start meeting like new friends that own coffee shop, and then I start asking that kind of question. And also in 2016 until 17, I worked part-time as a barista in one of the coffee shops. And in that coffee shop, people know that coffee shop as like sort of like magic coffee shop, because like the barista is a magician, and there's few times that because like I post where I work in social media, I tag the location, and sometimes there are like random kids came to the coffee shop like, excuse me, can I meet with Edo Huang? Sorry, he's not working today. Oh, okay, thank you. I have this deck of cards. Can you ask him to sign it for me, and we will pick the deck tomorrow? Okay. And then my friends start texting like, hey Edo, there's like random kids came to the coffee shop and leave their decks in the drawer tomorrow. Can you please sign the decks and give it to the kids in case they come to the coffee shop? Okay, that's cool.
That's funny.
That is too funny, man. I mean, like, and I think that's one of the cool things about it though too, is because again, you were almost like a local magic celebrity, but no one would have thought that you're sitting there working as a barista in a coffee shop as your main gig at the time. That's so cool, and it's got to be amazing to see too, looking back now, where you started. And I know we started to touch on that earlier about the journey to it. I think one of the things that we've seen across the community as a whole over probably past couple years, especially, I mean, for us as it relates to playing cards, but I think this, relates to Magic as well, and maybe not as much cardistry yet, but Magic and playing cards, is people see these huge successes within the community, whether it be, highly successful Kickstarter campaigns for playing cards, or people like Alex creating House of Playing Cards in my knock, or, people going on America's Got Talent and Shin Lim. And, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, everyone wanting to be Shin Lim. But you kind of mentioned that a lot of people just don't realize the journey and the journey and the time that goes into it. When you first started really getting into design, was your intention like, I want to design playing cards, or was it, I love design?
So like, when during high school, during mid school, when I start doing magic, kids doing magic, they're we start buying playing cards, new cards. Back then, I have an idea in my head, like, okay, one day I want to have my own cards. I want to design my own cards. That's like the first goals in my head. But as a teenager, you don't know, this kind of wish is like a goal, like a real goal, or just like a random thought in your head. That's what I had in my head right back in that day. And then high school, my friend introduced me to design and photography. Just like taking photos, like random photos, and then design random things for school, like for the books or report or something. And then I saw there is one university in Malaysia that accepting students doesn't have to graduate from high school. So like from second year, you can fly to Malaysia to start university. Back then, I'm not graduate from high school because like for me like I get enough with high school already. Like I don't want to study anymore. I want to pursue myself as a designer. And then I asked my permission from my parents. They said like, okay, go, pursue your career as a graphic designer back then. I finished my degree and then going back to Jakarta. Back then, I only doing magic for fun. Like I never touched any like designing card or anything until the house playing card that I told you. After that, I'm still thinking cards like designing cards more like this one's like I design a card once a year. How can I make a living designing cards? You know?
Yeah.
I still have back then like I feel obsessed about I want to be an art director. I want to be a senior graphic designer. I want to be title in a company is important for me. But then when I growing up, every year I receive like 2 projects for playing card. I receive like 3 projects for playing card. I start thinking like, okay, this playing card thing quite aligned with what I wish back when I'm in teenagers, like my goals. And then, but in that day, my parents still not supporting me designing cards because like as a parent, sometimes they more obsess their kids to have like stable income.
Yeah, like a doctor or a lawyer or something.
Correct. And when they introduce their kids to their family or their friends, it's more like this is my son. He's working as an art director or as a manager in this company or that company. Right? That kind of mindset that they have in their head.
Yeah.
Until I decided to resign, my parents are against me resigning from the company that I work. They even approached my girlfriend, now it's my wife, like, hey, can you tell Edo to like go back to work, like find a new job? Like, how can he survive? How can he survive designing cards? How can he make a living designing cards and doing magic? Back then, I also still remember when I like recording magic video for my Instagram, my parents shouting from the other side of the room, like, what the hell are you doing, man? I mean, like, you need to work. Not filming some magic videos. What are you doing? You're doing like useless stuff right there. Like stop wasting your time. Like if you saw my old video, if I remove the music, people sometimes can hear like someone shouting from the behind, like the back sound of someone shouting.
That's too funny.
so like after like resign, I start focusing on designing cards and magic. The first 2 years are so tough because like I don't only try to survive designing cards. I also have to survive from the person closest to me that against what I am doing. Because like the enemy of doing what you love is not about not getting like money or everything, but the person close to you is sometimes become the enemy, and sometimes become like because like when you do something like this, money never come easily, right? Like you have to survive. You have to like you start in your head. You start creating this sort of like worry, this kind of like, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? Am I can I survive? Can all these things happen in your head. If you are easy to give up, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna give up. I'm gonna start finding a new job. I'm gonna work 9 to 5 again, and that's it. I'm gonna forget about my playing card and my magic. I'm gonna do this as a hobby. That's fine. But probably because me, some sort of like rebel kid. So it's like when my parents told me like not to do it, I'm gonna do it.
Nice.
I feel you on that one.
That's too funny.
Yeah, right. I mean, like when my parents say like don't do it, I'm gonna do it. Like because like in my family, the only person who do this sort of like entrepreneur thing, art thing is only me. My father worked 9 to 5 in the company for like, I don't know, 20, 30 plus years. My mom also used to work in the bank, local bank. Two of my sister also working 9 to 5, and they're like pursuing for like title and money and salary and title. Although she's not happy with the job, she's like still working because of the money and income. For me, when I woke up, I want to have something that I'm really happy. You know, like
Yeah.
when I woke up, I want to feel like, okay, let's do another design. Let's work. Let's finish this playing card design. Let's record a new magic tricks, or let's record something. It's not something like you woke up. It's like, okay, let's work. Okay, let's work. No, I don't want that. I don't want that thing to happen. Because like I only live this life once. I want to do what I love. Well, you cannot give about money. When you have no money, you also cannot survive, and you cannot, like you cannot inspire people like this. Money sometimes also the issue of all these things. But I always trust, like, if you do a good work, if you do a great work, your reputation will spread, and people will start recognize you, and people will start like, who designed this? Oh, it's a good. Oh, it's Edo. Okay, let me just approach him and see if we can work. If we can work together. It happened for me. It happens to me like for the past like 5 years. Even like with Alex, with Ben, with other people. Also, that happens because of like I'm producing a good design, and people come and asking me to work together. Like that happens to me because like I also posting all this project on my social media, and being human once again on my social media, sometimes it attracts people more because like, oh, he's a good guy, he's a fun guy, he's a funny guy, he's a weird guy, I don't know, and his design is like evolving towards each year. I can see my design is like evolving and start getting unique, weird, mysterious over years, and people can be like, oh, like there's one guy from, I think his name is Cameron. We are working on a deck for his Kickstarter campaign. He saw my Svngali #2, the new trick, and he told me like, I love your new tricks playing card from Svngali, and I have this ideas in my head. Can we work together to producing this deck? I said like, sure. So once again, it's like first reputation. Second is like your previous work sometimes can attract people to approach you to ask you for collaborate together to producing something, and sometimes when I look back with all this journey, it's unbelievable, during all this social media and the community, and how I can meet new people, new clients, new friends, and work together from there. Sometimes it's unbelievable,
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I have a question. Since you're talking about like designing and all these decks, and what was your favorite deck that you've designed?
There are a few. I cannot say just one. Have you guys seen this one?
What's that?
No, I haven't.
The MCM playing card. So if you guys know the brand MCM, is from Monique. It's like this one is more like a LV, Gucci, Coach kind
Nice.
of luxury brand. The deck, I helped them designing the deck.
Oh.
And this one also a funny story. I can tell you this one is quite funny, surprising, and it's kind of weird. When I in 2018, when I hang out with my friends at the coffee shop, I saw there's one pending message on my Instagram, and then when I opened the pending message, it came from the official social media from the MCM. It
Nice.
has the blue verified page, and I feel like, holy shit! Well, like this, I know this brand is a luxurious brand, and what they're doing here, I mean, like, why he's texting me from Instagram? Why don't he email me or something? And then he messaged me from Instagram. I thought it's a fake account until he's telling me all the details and everything. They want to produce a playing card for the upcoming season. So, like this kind of fashion brand, they have like a spring, summer, fall, winter season, right?
Yeah.
They want to have like a fall, winter upcoming release, and they want to have a playing card in their season in their products, and they want me to film the trailer for the playing card. And then they send me few stuff like the backpack, like the T-shirt and everything, for me to film the card. And then back then they want to produce a bridge-size playing card. And then I told them, like, if you want the decks to sell, don't produce the deck in the bridge size. Instead, print it on the poker size, and I'm going to help you to find a good and decent factory who can produce the cards. And then a few months later, the decks arrived in my house. I filmed everything, and they put it on their official site.
That's
and for me, it's quite amazing. And a year later, I fly to Seoul, to Korea, because their office in Seoul. And I asked him, the first thing I asked him, how can you find me on Instagram? How can you, among all the talented magicians, talented cardists in social media, how the hell you can find me? The first answer they told me is quite unbelievable. They told me, like, when we about to produce playing cards, we open Instagram, we start searching hashtag playing cards, playing card hashtag, and your video is on top of the list.
That's awesome.
That just tells you, people, don't forget to use hashtags.
Yeah, for real.
And then,
don't forget.
And then for me, like, okay, so like the one I told you, like, I post regular magic video for the past like 4 years. Then this 4 years journey, it creates this. I mean, like, I can finally see the result, right? I mean,
a
like,
lot of hard work.
Yeah, the hard work. You can finally see the hard work. Sometimes people need to see this thing, and sometimes I need to share this thing so people can see, like, if you work like 10 times harder, you will get the result, not instantly, but maybe in 1 or 2 or 3 years. Right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the funny story about the deck that I designed. This one, like the Manticore one, that's also interesting, and the Svngali one too.
You're just saying the Manticore because Benjamin's on the chat with us.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Among all the cards, this 3 is like the top interesting story. If I can tell everyone, it's like the Svngali, the Manticore, and the MCM, because like this thing is unforgettable, and it's good to share it to people who willing to, like, starting their journey as a, playing card designer or as a content creator on Instagram. This thing you will get the result if you are doing the hard work.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you'd have to put in that effort. I think it's so crazy too. I just looked up the MCM deck and I looked up their brand a little bit. Like it's really is so like out of the blue. But I think the funny thing about that, and that goes all the way back to the beginning of the show. I hope at some point someone is sitting at home watching this, playing or looking at their like MCM deck and being like, I had no idea Edo Huang designed this. Like, I think that's so great because, like, I just took a look at their website too. Like, on that one, you'd have no idea because obviously they buy the design and they're branding up themselves. They're not really one to share credit as most of those big brands are not. But I think the fact that like now this is one deck out there that maybe a lot of people didn't even know you had a hand in. That's so cool.
Brad asks, what's your favorite deck that you haven't done?
My favorite deck?
Yeah, like what's your favorite deck that you haven't designed?
Haven't designed. You mean he means like my wish?
No, so like what currently like a deck that's out there now that someone else designed that you like?
I know. How about you? I don't know.
No, that's a trick question.
I honestly, I can easily answer that. My favorite deck is usually the most recent deck that I've gotten in the mail because it's the one that, like, to me, I'm like, ooh, my favorite. But there's so many good decks that come out. That's the tough part too. Like, there's a lot of playing cards that come out in general, but like for every 100 decks that come out, there's definitely some really good ones in the mix of it. I don't know. Man, this is see, to me, I'd actually say this is one of my favorite right now is the Goketsu deck from Card Experiment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very like
oh.
very very ornate, like Japanese styling. And where are they based out of? I think they're based out of Singapore as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Designed by Yosuke and Ando. So, yeah. But, like, and that's the thing. Like, again, though, a new deck could come in tomorrow, and I'll be like, ooh, I really love the artwork on this one, too. So, for me, it's not so much that, like, I stopped liking other ones. It's just I have a terrible short-term memory, and I can't remember what other decks I've seen recently.
Autoplay recently have quite interesting decks. Autoplay.
Yeah. Oh, no, without a doubt. I like all the collabs they're doing with the craft beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Modern Times. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
And the one that have like a 2% on the back. I forgot the latest. I think the latest one. The one that have like a 1%.
The Henry and Sally. Yeah.
Henry and Sally.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was quite unique. And if you guys notice, like, one-way deck is really on trend right now. One-way deck.
They are. Yeah, people are getting a lot more acceptable or accepting of them.
Yeah, for collection wise, for sure.
Yeah, well, and especially because I mean I think a lot of the very artistically styled decks. I mean, granted, obviously all decks are designed by an artist. There's an artistic aspect to it, but I think those really like very artsy collector style decks. Yeah, most people who are going to display it on their shelf aren't necessarily going to be like, oh, well, this is a one-way design. My spectators aren't gonna. They're gonna know something's up. Like even if that was a two-way design, you'd know something's different about this deck.
Yeah, like because like I designed decks like over the years. I discovered like back in when I started designing cards, when I designed one-way back design, they said like no, it's not gonna work. But for the past 2 years, I guess, even when I start designing for Svngali, when I start designing the number one, I said, yeah, sure, just produce it. Then I said like it's a one-way back design. Just do it. People eventually will accept it, and people soon will get used to it. I mean, like one-way back design is people right now it's like accepting one-way back design compared to I don't know 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. And so like getting into card design, obviously, again, being primarily a magician, like when you first got into it all, did you expect that there would be such a large collector's market for playing cards? And then with you designing cards in mind for magicians, did you expect that your cards would become such collector's items?
No, every time I design cards, I have a low expectation of. I never want to like. I never dream like, oh, I'm going to design this deck, and this deck going to be sold out in 1 hour. I mean, I never have that kind of image in my head. I just like design the things that I like. I just design something that my clients want me to design, and at the end, I will leave everything to the customers, to the fans, to all the collectors. If they like it, if they amazed by the design, for me it's like a it's amazed. I feel good, but I never like set a high like expectation. Okay, I'm going to design this deck, and this deck going to sell out in 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I never set that kind of image in my head. I just because like if you set that kind of expectation, you will start like like when you design things, you will say to yourself like, is this good enough? Is this luxurious enough? Is this will this design sold out fast? This kind of things happen in your head. I just like design that feels good, and at the end, people will judge. Like for example, I designed the house focus, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
When the Kickstarter started, I think the deck funded in less than less than 2 or 3 hours. I kind of forgot. For me, like I never set high expectation, and the decks are well received. And I think it's sold out already. And I only have like 2 or 3 decks. This one, and people love it and enjoy it. And for me, it's enough. I never put like, okay, this deck is gonna be like my, because like at the end it's all about taste, right? I designed Svngali number 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. Some people like number 1 only. Some people not like number 2 and not number 3. Some people like the Sky Island. At the end, it's all about taste, and I cannot force people to like all my cards. But at the end, if you like to support and at least buy 1 or 2 just to complete all the collection, that's totally fine.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think one of the well, before we slide off of the topic of cards, why don't we do a quick sniff for Stu here? So I know we talked to you a little bit in the beginning. We have a friend named Stu who was on at this point now. Stu was on episode 10, so 28 episodes ago. Which Stu, you're a veteran of the show at this point. And what we like to do is every episode we have our guest open a new deck of cards and sniff the cards and kind of give us their tasting notes. Well, for lack of a better term, similar to like a wine tasting. So you have a deck.
A brand new or any deck will do.
If you have a brand new one,
if you have a new one, awesome. If not, any deck will do. But I think the smell kind of wears out.
I think you have a brand new one around there somewhere.
I'm sure.
We saw that brand new box of 2020s that you had.
There you go.
I have it. It was like, oh yeah, brand new.
There you go. Stu was very excited.
I kind of like the smells of some of the USDC deck. It brings like the old memory of like the Ohio cards, because I used to love the smell of the Ohio factory.
Nice. Well, and it's interesting too how much you can use, and we always talk about this, but I think that's probably one thing that can be impacted as well is, handling of the cards can be impacted based on the environment, but so can smell.
Yep.
That's a man who enjoys his deck of cards.
This one smells good. My wife hates me too when I smell the cards.
Are we gonna have your wife smell them too?
No.
We tried. Oh man.
We tried, Stu. Sorry, buddy.
So
Stu says he's yet to sniff an Ohio deck.
Sealed Ohio deck. So, you know what? They float around still relatively inexpensive from time to time. Stu, I'll keep an eye out if I see one again. But yeah, I can only imagine the difference in, just everything that the old factory had and the machinery and all those things that impart little smells here and there and how it would build out. But it's always I think everyone who is used to cards or plays with cards, even if they don't realize it, has at some point or another sniffed a deck of cards. And, I think a lot of people nowadays, it becomes like a habit where like you get a new deck, you sniff it, it's interesting.
Me and my videographer and my other friends, I think a few weeks ago, we just sat in my kitchen, opened a new deck of cards, it just smells the card, and they told me like, this one smells like the old smoke and mirrors, or like this one smells like we start like recalling the old decks and start to like profiling the decks of cards,
Well, and they say too, your sense of smell is actually your strongest link with memory. So more than any other sense, smell will help you recall specific memories more so than anything else, which is crazy. So that's as cool as that is, that's not surprising. So,
but the USPCC decks back in that day, it used to like I don't know, maybe the paper or the stock, it can survive here locally in Indonesia, in Jakarta. But right now
it's too hot.
I don't know, maybe the humidity or something else. But here in Jakarta, when the Art of Play sent me decks, the decks only last for like 2 weeks, 1 week.
Oh wow.
Sometimes when I open a brand new deck of cards, you cannot fan the deck. It's like very sticky.
That's interesting.
By block, when you fan it, you cannot. Sometimes I take photo and send it to Dan. I show him like the deck it's weird. I cannot fan it. I cannot spread it. It's just like a sticky deck, like very very sticky.
Must be the humidity.
Maybe the humidity of the.
Well, and you said the old decks though didn't do that.
The old decks, and also when experts start their factory back in 2015.
Yeah.
The expert playing card and other Taiwan playing cards survive in Indonesia. Maybe because of the weather is similar, the Taiwan with Indonesia.
Yeah.
But there is a time where all of the magicians in local community use the expert playing cards instead of the USPCC because of the paper. Well, it's slightly smooth, but it can survive longer than the USPCC here.
Right. They smell. The new stuff that are coming out of EPCC smells really good. It kind of smells a little like vanilla or something. I don't know. It has this like really nice aroma to it.
Interesting. I haven't opened an EPCC deck in a while. I'll have to pick one up.
Like Jackson's deck. Any of Jackson's decks coming out, they smell good.
I'll have to check them out.
Fun facts: I worked for Expert before.
Oh, nice.
Really?
What did you do? Yeah, what did you do for Expert?
After I resigned, Expert approached me and asked me to work for them full time, and then I designed few decks for them. Back then, I handled I think some Mark Superior, I designed them, and also the Bill Malone playing cards, I also designed them, the back design, and I think I kind of forgot. I think 2 more designs that I kind of forgot, but they are not allowed me to put my name on the bottom of the top, and also few months later they fired me.
Oh man.
They fired you? Why did they fire you?
I don't know. They fired me.
You know what? That's their loss. That's 100% their loss. I think you came out of that better off than they did.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
That's like a fun fact.
Yeah. Well, so at this point, you've mentioned a lot of decks that you've designed, even ones that you couldn't put your name on. You have to be over or approaching at least 50 decks that you've designed and had actually produced.
Oh, way over that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be over, right?
Way over that. He just did 10 for Minok and 10 for Svngali. That's 20 right there.
Yeah, but not all the Svngali have actually been printed and produced yet. Not all of them are available for retail sale yet. Like that's what I'm thinking. Like how many? I mean, ballpark even. It's got to be at least 50. I don't expect you to account too because like I'm sure there's some where you're gonna sit here and forget. So it's just a lot. That's awesome though, man.
Right now in front of me, I only have like 4 Svngali, nautical, and manticore and MCM 2020, and this one, the Hocus Pocus and the figure playing.
What's that?
Oh, you didn't know this?
What is that?
It's a figure playing card, designed by me and Alvin Herbst from Vietnam.
Oh, nice.
I've never seen those.
Oh, really? So the back design. So this basically like my first cardistry playing card.
Thank you, buddy. Oh, cool. It's like a cardistry deck.
Yeah, it's a cardistry deck. Like this, and the front is like
cool.
Here you go. So we have like a custom chord.
That's nice.
This one also like a quite funny story. Alvin Herbst, a Vietnamese cardist, he approached me like, "Hey man, I have this piece design that I designed by myself. Can you help me design the back and the box?" He liked and the style that I like is like tally-ho circle back, tally-ho fan back, that kind of style, And then it took me like almost a year and 80 plus design to finally come up with the final design.
Wow, really?
That's crazy.
There are some people that there are some people who only can say like yes and no without even give me direction of what kind of design they like. So I just sent him like 5 designs and said no. So what kind of design you want? Something like tally-ho or something like tally-ho circle back design. Okay, I designed another one and then I show it to him like no. So sometimes for like like clients, I ask them to like send me reference like the top 5 or the top 10 deck design that they like, so I can have in my head what kind of style, what kind of taste, what kind of design that they love, so I can start designing cards based on their preference, right? They sent me like only like tally-ho, so it took me like almost a year to like, and I still have like the master design on Illustrator, big artboard with like small random design. And then after we finalized with the back design, it took me another few months to make like a small adjustment, only like a small thin line or a dot lines or a circle to show him like which one is the best one. We finally figure out this one is the best one, and then after we figure out the back design, we have to make the box to be like one continuous design.
Right.
So it's like when you put it like all together like this, it creates like one continuous design. Like okay, it took me like for another 2 or 3 months. So the whole process is almost like 1.5 years.
Wow, that's crazy. People don't realize how long it takes to like work through those kinks and stuff like that. It's it takes a long time. That's for sure.
Some people like the classic the classic casino style with the plain back design and 2 logo like we used to have, like win playing cards and Jerry's Nugget and Golden Nugget. But I like that design if you have the reason to design those specific things. But for me, I am more challenged to design something more complicated. Like I don't know. This one's quite complicated, and this one quite complicated. I want to challenge myself to design something more intricate. That's why I'm a big fan of Tier 11
Yeah.
design. That one is so crazy, but if you ask me, can I design that? Probably, but I just see that design as a inspiration. But
Yeah.
at the end, you still have your own. You still need to have your own style, your own character on the design. When someone see the deck, they will see, oh, this one is Edo Huang style or design.
Yeah. No, and I'm sure when you're going through that design, like Steve said, there's obviously a lot of iteration that goes through, and I'm sure you mentioned it took you a long time to design that with Alvin. The fact that you weren't getting any feedback though is probably part of the reason it took so
Right.
long as well. And I'm guessing somewhere deep down, as much as you probably enjoyed working with him, you probably haven't designed a deck with him since.
Yeah, and also it happens to this case is not the first one. There's one company I will not mention the magic company name, but there's one company approached me and they asked me the same thing, similar like, hey, Edo, can you help me design a deck of cards? Yes, sure. Can you give me like your reference for the deck? And then they told me like, I love this kind of tier 11 kind of design. And then okay, I start designing the design similar to tier 11. This kind of super detailed, intricate design.
Yeah.
When I show him the design, he's like, no, I want to have this kind of art of play, simplicity kind of design. Okay, I start to like bridging from the complicated into the more simplicity art of play kind of design. And then after I finished the design, he told me like, not as close as what I imagined. Can you please go back into the tier 11 kind of thing? Okay, like so it's like back and forth for like 2 months, and then until then, after that, he told me like, Edo, you know what? I think it's not gonna work. We're going to we need to like stop and I'm going to like find another designer for that. Okay, sure.
Man, you're gonna have to tell us in the after party who that is.
That's crazy.
That way we know not to work with that person.
That's crazy. I can't even. Well, and I think that's I don't know, just lack of direction. I guess that's what that is. There, lack of. I don't even want to say lack of direction, but inability to vocalize or verbalize your vision. I think that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with, especially people who have an idea but aren't themselves creative. They don't know how to verbalize that, but still, sound like some design horror stories here.
sometimes like for me, from my point of view, I've been doing this for a few years now, and sometimes I always told people like, you don't have to worry about the design. I will take care of the design. You just send me your reference.
Yeah.
The deck that you love the most, and you want to create your own deck based on the deck that you like. And from that, just leave me. I will design something that will match your taste. So some people agree with that. Some people like doesn't agree, but they also have no idea about the deck that they want. So like dealing with clueless clients sometimes is challenging for us designers.
I can only imagine that must be so like frustrating. Well, and especially because again, like you put so much of your energy into it, and then to have a situation where you're like, well, I have to step away. Like I feel like that must be in itself kind of disappointing in a way,
Yeah, and also right now, I also juggling with other projects too. Like in the same time, I have to work with like for the past 3 months, I have to work 4 different playing card projects. The Svngali and 2 more for individual. One that he will release on Kickstarter, and the other one he'll produce it himself. And the other one for Penguin Magic. So nice. 4 companies. And this 4 design has if you see Svngali have this kind of weird artsy design, and this guy for the Kickstarter, Cameron, he wants something more modern. The other one, he wants to have this kind of poetic kind of design. So everything is have different design, and in my head, I have to shifting one design to another. I have to shifting, and this thing is quite. I'm not saying tired. It's like I have to shift everything every time I start designing when I design cards. So it's quite challenging for me.
Yeah, that's got to be well, and again, being so many different styles. Obviously, not all of them are necessarily the same exact style. You have very, very different styles in the way you design decks, and that's actually something we talked about also on the pre-show. Was the idea that you're very versatile in your style. While yes, people can say, "Oh, this is an Edo Huang deck." There's also decks that people would see and they wouldn't recognize it necessarily as your style because you have you have an ability to adapt to what your client wants, and I think that's so interesting. Across all of the decks that you've done, which one would you say actually most closely represents what you would consider your style?
The coffee playing cards.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, that's my favorite one you've done.
The coffee playing cards, because that one is basically because back when I worked as a barista in the coffee shop, and then there's a time where there's no customer at all, so I have to stand there just making espresso and practicing my latte art, and I waste a lot of espresso, and I told myself I think it's gonna be cool if I can paint with this espresso or playing card. I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be like artsy kind of experiment. And then I start taking a piece of paper with a brush, using the espresso. I just draw one by one.
That's cool.
The king, queen, jacks, and the rest of the cards. And that's the coffee playing cards. That's the result. That thing, I only produce it for prototype. I only print it through MPC only for photo purposes. And then last year, I talked with Cartamundi, and Cartamundi decided to allow me to print that card for 300 decks. And I finally I told Cartamundi you finally make my dream come true. This is the decks that represent me as a designer and as a person. People know me as a coffee person, and this deck is really represent me 100%.
Okay, well then, actually, I like the fact that kind of brings it all together. It makes the deck more exciting. The fact that you were a barista and the whole idea of that. But when's the plant deck coming out, or the bonsai deck, or you're a huge plant person. So when's the plant deck coming out?
This one.
Oh, it's so pretty. Yeah, when are you gonna do a plant deck?
Hopefully soon. I spoke with Alex. Alex told me we should produce a deck that matches perfectly with your plants.
Yeah.
That's fun. Hopefully soon, because I told my wife also I collect a lot of plants, but why I haven't got any plant related playing cards. That's gonna be fun. But hopefully soon, because I think I designed the draft for the plant deck, but when I'm ready, I'm going to show it to Alex, and hopefully he will produce it.
I mean, you could always show us first, and we can let you know what we think.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah,
we'll be your first run before Alex.
Yeah, we'll give you some feedback.
We'll be the first yes or no.
Oh my gosh. No, I have no doubt that would be an amazing deck, especially with the amount of plants you have, but the tropical nature of plants and the amount of plants that you can grow in your climate there, the amount of inspiration you would be able to pull from it would just be such a dope idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only direction you can't go is like the first V3s. So as long as you stay away from, palm fronds, I think you'll be fine.
Palm fronds. Of course, Tyler knows the name of them.
I mean, yeah, they're palm tree fronds, kind of like. But yeah. So, well, and what got you into plants? I mean, of all things, like, obviously it's a very relaxing hobby to be able to grow plants, but what originally got you into the idea of growing a plant and then collecting plants?
There's a joke in my area. It's like, when you grow older, you will attract more into like new hobbies like growing plants or collecting vintage car or collecting vintage watches. That kind of jokes that like people around me like, just wait until you're like 30s or 40s. Now you start collecting something more old. And then 3 years ago, I started a new hobby like collecting vintage watches. And then my wife starting a new hobbies like adopting plants. Back then it's like nothing, no big deal for me. Like I'm okay with vintage watches. I'm not gonna go with plants because like plants is just plants. My wife has this the indoor plants right there, and then it's just nothing special with that. It's just it grows every like 2 weeks. But it's nothing special with it until there's one time I think May this May or June, one of her family just opened a new plant store near my house, like 15 minutes from my house. I just told my wife like it's just maybe just like a cactus shop or something. When I went inside, I just like, holy shit, what kind of plant is this? Like weird, exotic plant that I never saw before. I said like, holy shit, what kind of plant is this? Like so weird, and the price are not cheap. I mean like for the indoor plants like maybe like $10, $15. This plant is like cost like almost $100, sometimes even $500. How the hell this plant can so expensive? And then the more I start, because like if I like something, I start researching. When I collecting watches, when I collecting vintage watches, I go deep down into why make these watches expensive, why where's the manufacturer, what's the machine, how's the movement, everything. The same thing with plants. I go researching everything, and the more I go depth into it, the more I fall in love with the plants. And when I saw it grow, it's like maybe it's for me, maybe it's a piece of art, Like when you see the plants grow, it's so like cool. It's like like an art installation.
Yeah.
When you put on the right area of your house, it feels like it makes you happy every time you woke up, you saw, and it feels like, oh, it's so cool. I mean, like this kind of thing.
So true.
Yeah, and also have this small tree. Every like at night, the leaves feel like.
Oh, they close up.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That looks like an old lady finger. It's like.
So it's like for me, these things like makes me relax, and the same thing like give me inspiration to design something. Like when I get bored with cards, shuffling cards, making videos, I go upstairs and just like watering my plants, sipping my coffee, and then just like sometimes I do like crazy thing, like speaking to the plants, like just be good right here. I cannot wait to see you grow. No, this
nice.
this weird thing. I don't know, but this is funny, and I start met new people because of my new hobbies, and meeting new people. I can introduce me as a magician. Sometimes they love magic too. We can talk about plants. We can talk about magic. We can talk about our hobbies. Like unite people together. I start meeting new people, not only from magician, because like if you met only with magician friends, your discussion only going circles, just magic and magic and magic. Because like me, I spoke with Michael Stern. He came to Jakarta last year. When he stayed in my house for 3 days, almost all the discussion, all the conversation are not about magic. We talk about food, culture, people, lifestyle, everything. I think almost rarely we talk about cards and magic, because like if you talk about magic, if you talk about playing cards, if you talk about about magic and cards, the discussion will end. Just trust me, the discussion will end less than an hour.
Yeah, and you're like, if anybody else is around you, you're kind of eliminating them out of the conversation as well.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, well, personally, I don't mind if like fans from overseas. When I travel to Singapore, I met like local fans. They ask me like, "Hey, dude, what is your next playing card? What is your favorite card? What is your favorite magic move?" I don't mind answering that, but if I met new people, like I met Patrick Kun last year, I met Harapan, I met Laura Mitchin, I almost never talk about, hey man, what's your next deck? Where's your when is your next release? What is your favorite card? I never talk about that. And I'm more interested about like, oh, hey, take me to the best restaurant. Let's eat local food. Or I like to drink. Do you know where a good place to drink? Something like that. It makes me more human.
Yeah.
Talking about food, about culture. This thing makes me like talking about, hey, when you get married and how you're gonna stay with your wife, where you're gonna stay, how's the situation in your area. Those kind of things are more interested to me compared to like, hey man, your new deck is good, your new tutorial is sick. That's it. If you talk about that only, your conversation will only last 5 minutes, 20 minutes stop.
You know what I feel though? I feel like the conversations that are more like that are like when fans come up, maybe because they're nervous, they're like kind of unsure of how to have a conversation. And the best way and easiest way to approach you is like, dope tutorial, or I love that deck. When's the new one? Stuff like that. I think it kind of breaks the ice for people rather than, maybe when they come up to you and do that, be like, it's in March. What's the best food around here? Like what's kind of direct them towards a different conversation.
Yeah, because when Michael Stern came to Jakarta, he told me like, tomorrow we should go. You should take me to the best restaurant. I want to try the local food. Yeah, sure. We go there. We went there. We eat good food, and then I take him to the museum. We talk about the buildings. People. The culture and everything. It's like, if you remove the magician from yourself, you still can talk each other good. Like you still can create a good relationship when we remove the magician status in yourself. But if you only talk about magic and magic, it only limits to that conversation. Because especially if we have less magician friends, like me, from my social media, and the more I met new people, I almost never met new magician friends.
Right.
I met more like fashion designer, entrepreneur, chef. If we talk only about magic, they will think like we are like self-centered, like, oh, I don't only talk about magic and magic, and there's no topic that can unite us together. Because when we met someone, probably they will ask you like, what are you doing for a living? Oh, I'm a magician. Oh, you're a magician. Then we can talk magic for maybe like 5-10 minutes. That's it. And then we have to like ask back what they're doing, and then what makes us like what conversation that can unite us, not only about magic and magic and magic.
Right. Yeah, I mean, with that being said, when's your new deck? No, I'm just kidding. When's your next deck coming out? What color? No.
No,
Yeah,
really.
I mean, it's so true. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, even when Tyler and I got together, we obviously talked shop because we were talking work and stuff like that. But we basically, talked other things other than cards and stuff like that. Because I mean, as much as I love obviously cards and Magic, I don't want to talk about it all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all have so much depth to us, and I think the one interesting thing about it, like you said, your plants are relaxing to you, while cards are a relaxing hobby to some people, and I think very rarely do you find people who only have one hobby or one interest. I mean, to only have one interest, that, like you said, that makes you I don't want to say boring, but a pretty flat, or I don't know. I don't want to insult anyone with it, but yeah, if you only have one thing you ever want to talk about, yeah, you just run out of stuff to talk about at some point, or you end up repeating the same thing over and over. That depth is what makes us human, but also makes us relatable.
Yeah.
Just because two people don't like Magic doesn't mean they can't be friends, because they might like other stuff. They may like, I don't know, biking. They may like whatever. And I think that's the way you connect, but ultimately the way you actually remain friends and become friends with someone is through that ultimate other depth of who they are, their character, what knowledge they have, what experience they have, things they can share, common experiences, all that fun stuff. I mean, again, I think it's funny because we talked about it the other day with the plants, again, going back to the plants, you love growing plants. Steve loves growing plants. I love plants. I wish I could grow them. I can only grow one type of plant. Everything else I managed to somehow kill. But that's a common ground that we can all talk about and, bond over, but it doesn't become the ultimate foundation of our relationship. Your relationship grows beyond your love of plants into other things and sharing new experiences with people. I think that's how you become a well-rounded individual, because if you only hang out with people who like your one hobby, you will never find a second hobby because you'll have no one to introduce you to it.
So all the people in the chat, now that you know, when you message Edo, make sure you ask him how his plants are instead of his Magic.
You know what? I told my wife, next year I want to learn depth about pottery.
Yeah.
I want to
pottery, yeah.
Yeah, I want to try myself, challenge myself to learn how to do pottery. Because if I rarely fall in love with new hobbies until I can, sometimes hobbies comes and go, right? Sometimes oh, this is interesting. You do it for a few weeks and then you go. This one, I don't know why. I told my wife, I really want to know more and I want to learn more depth into it. And in my age right now, I rarely impress with new things. It's last time I impressed with something is about the vintage watches, but rarely I never interested with something else rather than this pottery plants. Oh my god, this is something else. I want to challenge myself to learn this maybe this year or next year.
I remember taking a pottery class in high school, and it was the most frustrating class I've ever had in my life. Yeah, because I can't, here's the thing, and I highly encourage you to do it, because looking back, I enjoyed it, but it was frustrating because with pottery and spinning pots and things like that, in the beginning, you're going to be terrible. Figuring out how to get your fingers to pull up a pot to the proper width and everything that. It's not easy. It takes a lot of time to figure that out. And being, I think
you should try the hand built. I did with the hand built thing.
Oh,
all right, that's dope.
I think it works quite fine. I mean, I can start making something not spinning.
Yeah, so more the actual construction of. Yeah, I think that would be a lot more frustrating for me. Well, and mind you, at the time too, I think I was literally 14, so everything frustrated me that I couldn't immediately get. So teaching 14-year-olds pottery is probably as frustrating for the teacher as it was for me. But I think ultimately, Yeah, get those hobbies that fascinate you. I think one of the biggest things, and I think it's exciting to hear you say that you have set kind of a goal for yourself to learn it next year, is dude, going through life in general, there's so many things that I think fascinate people that we say, ooh, that's cool, or how does that work? Or, what goes into this? And instead of, making a note of it and saying, I want to find out more, we forget about it. We get distracted by life and these kind of things that every day you see that fascinate you. Those are the things we should be pursuing, because you don't know how passionate you could become about this random thing. It could be pottery. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. You see what Brad said? Brad said Tyler saw Swayze on Ghost and had to try it.
Brad, I was a little young for Swayze, though. I did see Ghost, but I'm not going to lie. The part that sticks out to me about Ghost the most is the guy on the train who was scary. So the pottery side of it didn't do it for me. But thank you. I think
like teenagers, they want something fast, right? I mean, like they cannot wait. They just want to learn something, and if it's messed up, okay, I failed. Let's moving on something else, right?
Yep.
Being a teenager, you want to you don't want to learn hard process. You want to okay, can I do it? No, it's so hard. Okay, let's moving on to other things.
Yeah, it's not easy to, and I think especially in this day and age, kids are so used to immediate feedback and immediate results. Things that do take time to get better at are probably going to become less and less common unless there's a significant end result that they can see where it's like, oh, well, yeah, you're not going to get this immediately. And, it's going to be really frustrating, but at the end of the day, if you master it, you'll make, a significant salary, things like that, where there's that motivation to it. And I don't think that's the ultimate, that shouldn't be the ultimate driver for things like hobbies, because at the end of the day, you're not trying to get into pottery to make money. You're doing it because it interests you and because it could be relaxing, and not having that immediate being good at something doesn't mean you should walk away from it. So,
I mean, hey, you never know. Edo could all of a sudden be like
a
pottery phenom, and he just starts and he's like,
I'm
then
really
he never
nervous.
makes different cards.
I know. I was thinking about that earlier. I'm like, I don't know if I want to sit here and encourage this for him, because what if it's like Edo Huang, last deck of cards, Svngali 9 and the Minox come out, and then he's like, yeah, guys, I'm into pottery now. I'll see you later.
The cool thing about pottery.
About that. I maybe next month I'm gonna start my first collaboration with one of the pottery brands in Jakarta.
Nice.
For a card brand.
So there's one right now it's like a poetry thing that you can shape whatever you want. There's one brand in Jakarta that wants to collaborate together, mixing pottery, mixing the planter with the playing card ornament.
Oh.
So it's that's cool. the first collaboration. I don't know if people will accepting, but well,
dude, they'll accept. Dude, let's be honest. People bought a poop deck. People will buy anything. There's a lot of decks that aren't poop decks, but they're poopy decks, and people buy them.
People do buy them.
We won't get into any deck names, but you know what you could do? You could do an Edo Hobbies, kind of, I don't know, a 5 deck set, like Edo's Hobbies, where it could be dope. Plants, it could be pottery, it could be a magic one. And you can make it as a set. That way you can put this dope magic one, so people will be like, I have to get it.
That would
It'll work. It'll be perfect.
Oh man, I think that's one of the interesting things though about all that is finding those, areas you can cross collaborate on stuff you already are good at and enjoy with your new hobbies. And I think that's something that's always actually one of the things I seen recently is there's actually a member of the community who's building picture frames for displaying playing cards. And cool, this person obviously has an interest in woodworking, and they also have an interest in playing cards, and they're learning to meld their two hobbies together in an interesting way for them, where they can, continue to grow in both aspects of it and things like that. That's the other cool thing about it. Hobbies don't need to be mutually exclusive, It just allows people to continue to flourish in a creative sense and continue to come up with cool ideas that may shock and wow both communities. Who knows?
I mean, I think a lot of people bring in their passion into their design stuff. I mean, even I'm not a designer, right? And I'm creating a deck of cards with a designer, but things that I'm passionate about or attracted to are in the deck, So I think we all do that, and I think whether people know the history behind it or whatever, that's remain to be seen by whoever buys the deck. But I think in the grand scheme of it, there's something that inspired us from that deck, whether it's something that we love, whether it's art of play with drifters and the camp decks, and maybe they love hiking and outdoors, which obviously they do.
Yeah.
But so I think that's kind of connected to all the decks that we kind of see in a way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even we see it on Kickstarter where it's like, I created this sneaker deck because I'm a sneakerhead and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah, sometimes but some decks that I saw on the market, like especially like Kickstarter or something. I don't know, maybe from the design point of view, I can see like there are two. Let's say I love the sneakers, then they just put the sneakers on the back. Like you need to like somehow apply the design that doesn't look like directly sneakers, but it's you have to create this kind of artsy thing that can appeal to everyone, not only for sneakers lovers. Like for example, like that.
I mean,
so
that's the difference between a designer though and someone who just throws something on the back of a deck. Seriously, that's that's a big difference, and that's why I came out with this. Like, I had an idea for my deck, and I had my girlfriend do it in Illustrator, and yeah, I could probably sell it to 5 people that way, But what it comes down to, I was like, I'm not a designer, and she's not a designer. I handed it off to a designer, and that's when it created a totally different deck. And I think that's where you guys are great at what you do, and Brad is actually talking in the chat, and he's an amazing designer as well. And I think more and more people need to understand that when you're not good at math, don't try to be a math teacher, and stick with what you're good at. And if you have an idea, talk to a designer, create it. Sometimes you don't have to have the money to pay the designer. Maybe you can work it out in the Kickstarter. A lot of these designers really stand behind their work, and they think their work is successful, and they know it'll do well, or whatever it may be. Maybe you can work out some type of contract within the Kickstarter campaign, or so don't feel like you just have to find clip art and throw it on the back of a deck. Like, reach out to these designers that you're inspired by, and you never know, you can create some really cool stuff.
Yeah, like there's one guy, I think he's watching right now, Cameron. We are working on helping hand playing cards. I told him, and I told some other people who approached me, asked me to work for them. If you cannot, like, from the rate that I gave, if you cannot pay me like right now, you can pay me however you have right now, and we can work things out in the future. I mean, like,
right.
You have this dream, I want to help you make this come true. And at least the first priority is like, make your dream come true. That's the first priority. The second one, how you will pay me or whatever. We can work this thing out. If we can pay, like, I don't know, every month, like for the next 10 months, or I'm gonna save my money, I'm gonna pay you next year or whatever. That's like the second one. That for me, every time I do project, even when I start doing designing playing cards, when I doing cards for a living, I told people around me that money has never been the first priority of what I'm doing. I never been like, hey, Edo, can you design me a deck? Hey, sure. Few $1,000. Pay me right now. I'm gonna design for you. Right. I never talk about money on the first one, because like, if you do a great thing, money will come to you. That's what I always believe from the first step I go into this job. And also for Svngali, I think after like 1 year of working with Alex, I never asked for money. I never asked like, Alex, can I have the money for me? I never asked money until I really need it. I just keep all the money together on the paper account that we keep all together. I never take the money like every deck release. I never like, hey Alex, the deck release, we just sold this amount of deck. Can I take few dollars? I never, until I really need it, because like for me, money is not the first priority. People happy with the deck that I designed. People enjoy, their dreams come true. That's the most satisfying, and that's what makes me happy every time I produce something.
You know what?
That's awesome.
Like, dude, you're a rarity in this community. You know, there's a lot of people, designers, creators that are just doing it for money. Yeah. You know, and we see that. You know, I'm not going to name instances, but we see it very often that you know, cutting corners or doing whatever just to get the money that they know they can get or something like that. So you know, we appreciate how you do your work and that you love what you do, you know, and it shows in your work.
Yeah, like the one I told you about the local card that me and my partner to produce. When we calculate everything, the cost and the profit, the profit is not much. Like if I'm talking about the money, I will probably not gonna take it, because like the profit is like so small. I can prefer to donate the profit to the organization that really needs the money. But for me, the goal is like I want a lot of people to appreciate good design, decent quality of cards that not only, you know, people can afford $20 deck, but also people who can afford cheap deck. Yeah, good quality.
Right.
So I discussed with my friends. It's a hard decision, but for me, like, we can simply like produce a deck every month. We're gonna find an organization that needs money. Every deck sold, few percent we can donate to them, and we can bless other people. We can make other people happy. We just, you know, at least the cost, we can get all the cost money back, and that's it. I mean, like, people happy. We don't get much of the profit. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's the same thing. That's the same goal that I starting the deck. Money never. I mean, like, I told my wife, yes, money is the issue, especially when we married, right? We have our own house. Maybe soon we're gonna have kids. Money is priority, and it's quite a sensitive thing to talk. But if we only think about money and money and money, we will never satisfy. And for me and my wife, we always pray like we don't have to be super rich. At least when we want to do something, or let's say we want to buy something, we have the money. You know, we don't have to have like big amount of money. At least we can eat, we can travel, we can still fulfill our daily necessity or maybe our hobbies. That's enough.
Right.
And saving for our future kids, that's enough. You know. So we try not to be greedy. We try not to be, you know, like hungry for money, because like if you're hungry for money, if you're greedy, you want more and more and more and more.
Yeah, you're never satisfied. Yeah.
That's the American way, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we always
more money. I need more money. I need more money. And it's got it.
Well, I was gonna say, I think we also have this kind of mentality where we think money will solve our problems. And
exactly.
You know, money will make us happy. Money will make us, you know, more popular or whatever, or it'll make us so that we can do whatever we want. But like, yeah, if you get into that mentality of you need money to achieve your goals. And don't get me wrong, again, if your goals are to start your own business, yeah, part of that is you need money, but like money shouldn't be your ultimate goal. You know, your ultimate goal should be living a fulfilled life. And it sounds like you've definitely set yourself on the right path for that, Edo. I think that's a phenomenal thing.
I told because like last month, TED Talk invite me to share my experience to some people, right?
That's awesome.
So I did my second TED Talk last month, and I share one thing for them, like if you have a lot of money but you have no time, it's better for you to have like enough amount of money, but you have more time with your family, with your friends, with what you're doing. For me, it's more satisfying to have more time rather than more money. You know, if you have, if you don't have time, then someone, let's say, someone passed away or someone no longer with you, you cannot bring the time back. You know, but if you have more time with them, especially when we grow older, we have our parents and everything. Soon we cannot avoid they will leave us. We should have like at least more time spending with my wife, my family, because like we never know what happens to them, right?
Yeah.
Money we can find money. We can sell some stuff. We get money. We can solve some decks. We can have money, but time we cannot take our time back. We already passed.
Yeah, which we will definitely link to your TED Talk below as well, because I think it's something that everyone should definitely check out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think. There's a book, and it's funny because it's totally slipped my mind. You would absolutely love it. It's a kid's book, but it's geared towards adults, kind of in a weird way.
Sure. Let me know. I really like reading quite a lot of books.
All right, talk real quick. I'm gonna go find it right now.
Well, and I think so. You mentioned being on 2 TED Talks now. What was that experience like? I'm curious because that's a pretty big thing, and I think TED and
the first one is mess.
Yeah,
the first one is crazy.
I mean, I can't even imagine. That must have been so not only like nerve-wracking, but also kind of like awe-inspiring to be able to be asked to go and talk on a TED Talk. But like that must have been crazy, man.
The first one is quite nervous, and they gave me like 18 minutes to talk. I only end up to be like 10 minutes because like I'm so shaky and nervous, like sweating, and I have no idea what I am to. I just talk. It's like I blank, totally blank. The second one is recorded using Zoom. I don't know about if the person handled the talk already uploaded on YouTube or not, but they told me they still edit all the talk. But I'll let you know if the talk is available. The first one is mess up. If you searching on YouTube Edo Huang TEDx, you will see my 2015 or 2016 talk, and the videographer is so stupid. It's like the camera is like shaking all over the place, and you will see there's one comment below. It's like, if the videographer is drunk, because like the camera is like moving all over the place, like crazy.
That's funny. So I was able to find it really quick. All my books we have a ton of books out there, and they're all alphabetized, so I was able to find it real quick. So it's called The Traveler.
The Traveler. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you see who it's by?
Let's see. Who's the author?
Darren
Simpkin, is that it?
Yep, okay. Darren Simpkin. So it's Daniel and Darren Simpkin. So
we'll link to that below as well for any of the viewers who are interested. And we'll send you a link to it too, because it looks interesting.
It's literally, you can. I mean, obviously people don't want to hear this, but you can literally read it while you're pooping. It's super.
I mean, what else do you read?
This, like, seriously, I'll give you guys a little. I mean, like, one of the pages is like that.
Oh,
You know, so it's
wow,
literally an amazing book.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have 2 of them. I recommend it.
That is too funny.
I have this problem with like if I really like books that I feel are just have amazing messages, I'll buy them whenever I go to like a used bookstore and I see them. I'll just buy them and then I'll give them to friends or something.
Ah, right.
Yeah, I do that with Prophet as well by Khalil Gibran. Amazing book.
Nice, man.
Does anybody have any questions for Edo? We've been kind of rambling on, and
So I actually did have, I know we had gotten a couple questions ahead of time that I wanted to ask because I knew some of the people who had asked these questions. And I think one of them's applicable because, let's see here. So I don't want to butcher this. God, why is Brian asking these tough questions here? But Brian said, please explain your motto, Sambang Harus Consistent. I can't,
This one.
Yes, what you're wearing on the shirt there. I should have just been like, oh, what you're wearing on your shirt.
No. It's like this thing means like sombong is arrogant, harus is neat, consistent is like consistency. So it's like there's like a joke, more like a joke. Like when my old friends like met me for the first time after like few years. Sometimes they told me like, "Where have you been, dude? Like, you're so like so arrogant lately. Like when that, like you know that kind of feeling. Like, and then I sometimes reply to this like a local joke in Jakarta. Like, I sometimes reply like, yeah, always arrogant, long before I famous. So it's like. I always arrogant way before I get famous, so I'm really consistent with my arrogancy.
That's funny.
So it's like because like if you met me like in the coffee shop or in the shopping mall, I never smile. It's more like I'm in the very serious phase, and sometimes people can judge me as a very arrogant, and sometimes people can judge me as a oh, he's a very rude guy. Until they know me personally, it's a friendly and very kind. But first impression, people will say like very rude, very arrogant. So when people like old friends or sometimes new people like, why are you so arrogant? Because like, oh yeah, sure, I am arrogant. Way before I get famous or way before I'm what I am today, I'm already arrogant. So I'm so consistent with my arrogancy. So.
That's too funny.
That was good. Good stuff.
That really is too funny. Oh my gosh. So one of the other ones we had here, let me see here. So, you know, we talked a lot about your design inspiration for cards. What are some of who are some of the designers that you look to outside of the playing card community who really inspire you?
The weird thing is I never look into other designer to other designer. Instead, I am more into seeing movie or music as my inspiration.
Nice.
You know, I never. It's not never. It's like I rarely. If you ask me like who's like the other designer I look up into, I cannot answer that because like almost the way I find inspiration is like by watching movie, talking with friends, sometimes buy a new plant, drinking coffee, drinking wine, whiskey. That's what like how I get my inspiration.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, experience. And I think that's a great way to drive inspiration. Experience, you know, something we have every day. It's just the way you look at it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like if you want to know like a funny story about the Svngali number 3.
Yeah.
And when me and Alex hang out in Singapore last year, we just walked into one of the shopping mall and Alex suddenly just stopped, take out the phone, look at there's like a one store, just take photo of the like a backdrop, show it to me. This one is a good artwork for our Svngali. Okay, just send it to me. Okay, just send it to me. Okay, just work on this kind of ideas for our next Svngali design. Okay, sure.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think pulling it from out in the atmosphere, I guess we could say, rather than from someone else's design, because I think if you pull it from someone else's design, so to speak, then it might look a little bit like their design, you know, rather than your own idea or something like that.
Like
Absolutely.
for example, for example, the Sniffing #1. It took me like quite because when you start a new company, it's quite challenging on what is our debut design supposed to be, right? It's like it's so hard for us to like, Edo, what should we design? What kind of genre do we want to do? What kind of style we want to approach? What kind of, that kind of question that happened. And then Alex only told me like, let's do something with like luxurious design. Same thing, like, how about like sneakers, Yeezy, Kanye West kind of vibe to it? It took me like, okay, Yeezy, Kanye West, sneakers. I started like designing cards that's similar with the, like Air Jordan kind of design kind of thing. And then Alex said, I know when Alex like it or not. Now I can feel like when he say like, okay, that's good, meaning that he doesn't like it. But if he send me like emoticon, like scream emoticon, or it's like dope, he wants the deck to be produced.
Nice.
So like I send like 2 designs, 3 designs, like okay, until there's one moment I finally can figure out the snake design. I sent it to him. I told him like, dude, this is it. And then he saw it. Said, yes, this is it. And then finally we just like modified the colors a little bit, send it to a printer and produce it.
Yeah, I think coming out with that one was first was the perfect idea. I think that one so far for me has been the strongest one, and obviously they're different for everybody. But for me, I'm not a huge like skulls and snakes and that type, but I absolutely love the deck. I think the snake was done just really nice, and I think out of all of the 5 that you guys have put out so far, 4 I should say, but the 5th one will be coming out soon. I think
the USDCC messed up with the shipping. The decks just arrived in the warehouse yesterday.
Dude, they're struggling. They're struggling.
They're not on Alex's good boy list, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, not after some of the misalignments and everything that they've been having issues with.
And the seals, the random seal.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
They are something else. But well, any last minute questions we had for Edo in the chat? I know we had one other question here, and it's an interesting one. I'll ask it, but I'm trying to think of a way to also relate it as a kind of like takeaway with it as well. So what's one obstacle you had to overcome to get to where you are today?
The main obstacles that I can like recall it right now is probably how people around you see what you want to do, what you want to pursue. That's like probably the main obstacle for me. Like the one I mentioned in the beginning, like when you start doing what you love, because like there's no one, set the standard. You are the one who set the standard. Is it good enough? Is it right enough? Is it the right way? Is it the wrong way? Is it a mistake or something? You're the one who set the everything, because like right now it's like you are alone doing what you want, right? And echo is like the person closest to you that telling you are not in the good way, or you are taking the wrong decision. You are you're not taking life seriously. That thing will create, will makes you and will shape you as a human and as an adult maybe, to either trust yourself and pursue wherever it feels right for you, or you want to make people around you happy by doing what they ask you to do. Because like there are two people in this world. There are one people who felt like, okay, I love my parents. I don't want to make them sad. I'm gonna make them happy by doing what they want. But there are other people who can say like, this is my life. This is what I want to do. Thank you for your care. You take care of me for the past 20, 30 years. This is my own chapter right now. I want to pursue what I love. And what I want from you is just for you to pray the best for me, and wish me luck. That's
Right.
that's what I have in my head. And I decided to take the second one to become the person like the one I told you, a rebel kids who think that this is what the right thing to do. It's not the easy start, but it's if it's not, if it's easy, everyone will do it, right? If it's easy, everyone will do it. But if it's difficult, when you do it, not a lot of people will survive. And when you reach to where you are right now, in this case, where I am right now, I'm not telling I'm already reaching the goal. Maybe I'm not even halfway to my goal. I'm still like long way to go to my goal.
Right.
But it makes you more appreciate of what you achieve. Because like it took me 10 years of journey of doubting myself, questioning myself. And when I'm reaching the moment where I am right now, I more appreciate about the process, and I have to right now it's like take things more carefully, because like it took me 10 years. I don't want to destroy my 10 years journey by doing mistake. Like I admit I did mistake in the early years when I start designing cards, and I don't want my reputation to be destroyed by doing the same mistake and the same mistake again. So maybe the takeaway from people who really want to do like similar like what I do is probably like it's better for you to regret something. I always tell this to people over and over again, like it's better for you to regret something that you already done rather than you regret something because you're not doing it. Because when you doing it, then you regret it. Oh, at least you're doing it. You know how you taste it. You taste it, and then it doesn't work. At least you taste it. You are not curious.
Right.
If it works, then it's good. If it's not work, then at least you try. Rather than you're not trying it, then you will regret it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no, for
absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the one other question we did have come into the chat, and I think this is a good way to kind of wind things down. We'll end on a hopefully a simple card question for you. What is your the question was, what is your favorite deck in general, not your own, but I think a more kind of pertinent question, being a magician, what's your go-to deck?
My go-to deck, besides my playing cards, yeah.
Yeah.
Arcos.
Arcos? All right.
Nice.
Dude,
I love the core cards on Arcos.
I do too. I think they're such an underrated deck. They're such a elegant deck in comparison to, the standard bike courts and everything that you see with those. Nice choice.
Yeah, right on.
Well, guys, thank you so much for checking out the episode tonight. Edo, we're so happy to have you on. Make sure to stick around because in a minute or two, we're going to be telling you who next week's guest is going to be. But again, man, this was a blast.
Yeah, it was such a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know at the end of the day, waking up to talk to Steve and I is probably not on anyone's top 10 list.
Hey, put yourself in your own category.
Listen,
buddy.
early morning, I'm saying. I don't like to see most people early morning. I know I don't normally. That's why I like we're on different coasts, man, because I can wait 3 hours before I have to, talk to anyone in the morning. So
even though every single morning I wake up to a text message from Tyler, like 7 o'clock in the morning.
It's because it's 10 o'clock my time.
Yeah.
But no, we really appreciate you coming on. It was an absolute blast. And honestly, it was fun to get to know you a little bit better, man.
Yeah.
Over the past, couple days talking here, like, it's great to see what you enjoy about life, not just playing cards,
Yeah. I mean, that's what we enjoy the most, We
people like never know the story behind and the person who are they following on Instagram, right? They only know me from the hands, maybe from the face, but never from like the personality and how I talk, how I share something.
Well, now they do.
They do.
And this will not be the last time you're on here either.
And no, without a doubt. And like I mentioned, we're going to be linking Edo's TED Talk below. I highly recommend everyone check that out. It's a phenomenal talk, and I think it'll give you a little bit of insight into what drives Edo in his life philosophy, and I think how that plays into everything. Guys, definitely make sure to check that out. Definitely make sure to stick around for another minute so we can let you know who's going to be our guest next week. And we're going to take a quick word from our sponsor here.
Hummingbird Feathers mimics the shimmer of a hummingbird in motion. Meticulously created with a specialized printing process using multiple holographic foils. Stunning tuck design and sculpted embossing with master letterpress creation. Featuring limited, standard, and gilded 3-deck sets. Pre-order yours today at marvelousdecks.com. I love that thing. I can't wait to get it.
I know, it's a good-looking deck. And next week's guest, everybody, is going to be Anna de Guzman. So
she's gonna be here.
She will actually be here
next
this time.
week,
I know we've said this once before, and you know what though, Steve and I talked about it, and that worked out pleasantly as it was. But this is going to be a fun episode. We're excited to have Anna on. I think it's going to be really interesting to talk to someone who's so pivotal in the modern day cardistry kind of era, and really someone who's getting so big on TikTok, which I think is such a forward moving social media platform. I don't want forward thinking, because TikTok is its own kind of thing, and I think generationally we all relate to it differently. But I think it's interesting to see how the hobby of magic and cardistry and playing cards in general evolves with the social media platforms. So make sure to tune in, guys, next week, Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when we sit down with Anna de Guzman. And again, Edo, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
We had a blast, man.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Keep contact, guys. Keep contact.
Absolutely.
Of course. Stick around. We're going to have a little after party after this.
Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you. Bye.